ElkShape podcast number 10 with me, Dan Staten. She's known me for 9 years, almost 10. Uh, we've met at the gym. She's the mother of both of my children. She's put up with 9 hunting seasons. She's my partner in crime, hardest worker, female version I've ever met. Keeps a very clean house. Could probably beat you in any CrossFit workout. She tans better than I do. And we're together in Maui recording this podcast. Welcome to my better half, Alicia Staten.
Wow. Thank you.
Yeah. You know, it's kind of risky bringing your wife on a podcast because you are recording, you're looking at each other. I know a lot about you, you know a lot about me, but
The good and the bad.
yeah, we are going to entertain, educate, inspire people when they listen to this, and hopefully talk about some things that, that are, it's just unsolicited advice, that things that we've learned in our short amount of time, and share some ideas, things that have worked for us, things that don't work for us or whatever. And I emailed you a list of questions that I was going to ask you back in the day because I've wanted to bring you on from the beginning. And the reason why is because I think it's so important for younger people listening or anyone in my shoes where you have a spouse that doesn't hunt but puts up with your hunting and understands how, for lack of a better term, passionate you are about that way of life, that, it's a good to get the take on the other side because, it's easy to go hunting. It's easy to go elk hunting. It's way harder to stay at home. And we need to talk about that. So especially on the first responder military side of things, I think in those kind of relationships, and I'm kind of a first responder. I'm a firefighter once a week. It's easier to be a firefighter than it is to be at home with the kids. It is. And we'll talk about that. But give everybody a little background on you, or I will, as far as, where you grew up, sports you played, things that you are interested in, and just things that make you tick and your personality.
Well, like Dan said, we met 9 years ago, but I was Alicia Mills before that. And so I've grown up in Spokane my whole life. Moved to Missoula for my college days. But pretty simple life, really, growing up. My mom raised us. There was my older sister and my younger brother, and just had a ton of fun playing outside as a kid. I always think about that when I look at our kids. Like, I just want them to have that same sort of outdoor, just go ride your bike wherever sort of lifestyle, and I don't know, think about that a lot. So kind of jumping around everywhere, but grew up in Spokane. Went to Central Valley High School. Found out I was like kind of good at throwing for whatever reason. I was kind of one of the smaller girls, but mostly I went to go over to the throws department, like shot put, discus and javelin. I went over there because every day at track practice they were making us run and run and run. I mean, run miles, and I'm like, I don't really like this, but I think it looks cool to go over there and throw. So I just kind of snuck away from the running department one day at practice and went over to the throws area, and then I got to know the coach over there, and she was unbelievable. She was very inspiring to me, just really down to earth and very much cared about the students and stuff more than just athletics, but just made sure that you were sticking to the right path and that you had aspirations and things. She was a good role model for me and had done it for a long time, so she knew what she was doing, and she had seen a lot of kids go through their programs. So she kind of showed me the ropes, and I was too small to throw shot or disc, so I picked up the javelin and kind of brought me back to like my baseball throwing days in the field with the kids at the church park that was just down the street from our house, and kind of found out I was good at that, and so just started working on my technique, and through that ended up going to state my junior year and my senior year, and got second place my second year, or my senior year, at state, and then started getting all these letters in the mail from different colleges and did a couple recruiting trips, and then ended up choosing Montana, Missoula, became a Grizz. And honestly, not particularly for the track program. I mean, they've got some good football there, but their track program's not top rated. But I really liked the city there, and the people were amazing. They were just so friendly. Like, everybody that I met, no matter where we were in Missoula, were just open arms and super, super nice. So that was, I guess, kind of why I chose Missoula. And it was awesome. I had a great time, 4 years. And once I graduated, I just decided there was not a whole lot going on in Missoula as far as jobs go, and I had a degree in exercise science. 4 years later, moved back to Spokane, and honestly moved back in with my mom. But it was good because that was kind of where I realized I wanted to get into the fitness industry, so to speak, and started working at a gym, and that's where Dan and I met. And when I met you, babe, I was like, I've never met someone as driven, as motivated, as excited about some goal that he had. Like, it was empowering, and it was super exciting to me because I'm a very excited person, and I love getting pumped up about stuff. And so when I saw, how excited you were to like talking about opening your gym, and I just wanted to get on board with you, and I didn't care what our relationship status was. I just thought you were really cool.
Then you met me and found out. No, that's, yeah. So a couple of little add-ons to your story is, so I'll brag for you. You're the littlest thrower I've ever met. Usually a typical javelin thrower is a little bit more of a thoroughbred, kind of well-built athlete. Especially on the female side, you're definitely one of the smallest collegiate javelin throwers I've met personally, and I've met a few. You held, and I don't know if it's still current, but you've held the record at University of Montana for the longest throw for javelin, and I think it's still up there, which is awesome. And when I first met you, you hadn't really dabbled into CrossFit yet, but you'd always been training your whole life and been an athlete, so I believe that's one of the first things that I got to show you was, hey, check out this thing called CrossFit. Yeah, I used to think it was stupid too until I did it. And we're not going to talk about CrossFit as much on this podcast because I don't think people want to really hear about it as much. But so you met a guy who hunts, and you're like, oh, I've never, like, my dad didn't hunt, or my stepdad didn't hunt, and my uncles didn't hunt. No one hunted in your family. What was that like coming into, I mean, you had a grandma that took you grouse hunting when you were a little kid.
No, my aunt. She was old enough to be my grandma. My mom's sister, she's 19 years older than my mom. And yeah, when I was in probably fourth or fifth grade, it was probably fifth grade. Yeah, I was like 10 years old. She took me out grouse hunting and deer hunting a couple of times. I just remember like getting up so early, and I was like, what are we doing? I don't understand any of this. And because the grouse hunting, I don't know, we just got in the car, and I sat in the middle of my aunt and my uncle driving on the left, and I'm sitting in the middle, and I'm just this little kid. And anyways, we're basically road hunting for grouse for hours upon end, which is just funny looking back. Like, I don't know why that was entertaining to them. As a kid, it was fun, but
Yeah.
and now as an adult, I'm like, I would probably never do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was really the only like thing I knew about hunting. Otherwise, I had no clue about. I didn't even know people hunted with a bow. Like, I don't even know if I had ever seen a bow and arrow before I met you.
Okay, so it's 2008. I've been bow hunting for about 8 years now. I'm pretty much all or none personality. So at that point, I've hunted in Alaska by myself. I have for archery, and I've hunted all over in the lower 48 for elk, and I've has this passion for elk hunting's blown up full, and I meet you and kind of like, whoa. I always had a rule that I was going to put a potential wife through 2 hunting seasons, because I thought like the first one would be like kind of honeymoon phase. They're like, oh, this is kind of cool. He goes hunting, and then to do it again that second year to really show him like, hey, this is part of who I am. I'm going to be gone a lot. I'm going to go hunting, and I can't really do a good job explaining why. I just know that I got to go.
Mm-hmm.
I got to go to the mountains. And then you
No,
met.
you totally were really bad about explaining the why, and it was that was probably one of the hardest parts is for me to like understand is is what was your why, because it was so there's so much. I don't know, you hate when I say this, like passion about it, but like there's so much invested in what you do. Like, like I always tell people when they're setting goals, like they have to have a really strong why to do what they do, like to accomplish what they want to accomplish. And so for me, it was trying to figure out what was your why in the hunting.
Hmm.
Otherwise, it just didn't make sense to me.
Yeah. So explaining that to your would-be or future partner, or even your current partner, as best as you can, articulate your why, which is not really easy to do because there's a lot of layers to why a man or even a human needs to go and be by themselves or go away from their family or even their children and be wherever they are and doing whatever they're doing. So it's
Mm-hmm.
definitely been a process of trying to peel back those layers and show you the why. It's definitely in me, like DNA wise. Like my dad took me when I was little, grouse hunting, 6, 7, 8, out in Elk, Washington. I remember going grouse hunting, and then I remember kind of getting really excited about, can I go grouse hunting? And then he's like, you got to get your hunter safety. And so I got it when I was just 9, maybe almost 10, got my hunter safety card. And then I was hunting. It was crazy. And he borrowed a 30-30 lever action from a friend. And I remember sighting in at 50 yards and being proficient about 50 to 80 yards. And he, a couple times I'd go out with my dad and he'd put me up against a tree with him. And we had a couple deer come in that were like does, and they'd get so close to us and I'd be shaking from excitement. And I was like, didn't know why. Like, why am I getting so excited about this? This is crazy. And then about age 12, I got for Christmas a 308, which was like a cartridge or I'm going to sound retarded here, but it's some sort of
a gun.
it's a caliber, and it's, my dad always hunted with a 30-06, but he got me a 308. I remember at Christmas being like so stoked. So I was 12 when I got it, so I had to wait till the next fall. And when I was 13, I remember hunting with my dad up by it's Diamond Lake, just north of Spokane, a couple hours north. Really good whitetail hunting, and he set me in a spot where there was some scrapes and there was a foot of snow. And I remember he sat me down, and I was only about 200 yards from the truck, if I remember correctly. And he's like, I'm going to go do basically not a deer drive, but he was going to go work this ridge and see if he could find deer on their feet, rutting. And I remember sitting in the spot until I couldn't feel my fingers, and I'm like, I'm going to go back to the truck. He had taught me how to start it up and get it, to get warm. And so I got in the truck, and I just about ready to turn it on, and I look down the road is this huge buck with all these does. And he doesn't even notice me, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's a huge buck. So adrenaline, I get out of the truck, get my stuff, beeline over there, and the buck's, I don't know, 20 yards away from me, and I just remember throwing my gun up and pulling the trigger, and not even aiming. And looking back, I think I hit him high and spined him. He dropped right away. He wasn't dead, which sucked. I had to finish him off. So my dad heard 2 more gunshots, and their buck was dead. And
so how did you know what to do? I mean, did your dad tell you?
I knew nothing.
Yeah.
Really, it was just kind of like, if you see a buck, we'd practice shooting. He'd taken me out a few times with me, but this was like, you're 13. I'm dropping you off. You're going to do this. You're going to be a man. And I'm thankful for it looking back. And thank God he came over, heard the gunshots, and he was so shocked because he had never killed a buck that big. And I just shot a really good buck. In fact, we mounted that buck because, it's not, looking back, it's not a, it's like 100.
It was your first buck.
It was my first buck, like a 130-inch whitetail, but
I
he's got some
guarantee
palmation.
you're going to mount whatever Tristan kills first.
Yeah. And that, I remember that, I just loved the time I got with my dad. It was like undivided attention, showing me cool stuff, how to be what I thought was a man, and I loved being outside. And it just sparked a huge passion in me. And then, high school sports kind of take over, and hunting took a back seat because I was a 3-sport athlete, and I just did that all the way through high school. And then when I graduated and decided to stay home, as far as in Spokane and not go to Washington State University, best decision I've ever made, nothing against Cougars, but I went to a community college that was extremely affordable and lived at home and got a really good job as a personal trainer and made really good money as a young kid. And I remember that fall, the very first fall out of high school, buying a hunting license and shooting a buck we lived on 10 acres, and I shot a buck basically off the porch. And I was like, I want to try elk hunting. And people have heard that story, but that same year I shot an elk, and that's all she wrote. I never picked up a rifle again. I got a bow and, did Dan stuff, jumped all the way on the deep end and never looked back. So I meet you when I'm 27, and I've bow hunted all over, killed a lot of animals, had a lot of experiences, and then I've meet this gal who's no clue what hunting is.
I was naive in a lot of ways.
Tell me about that first fall. We were dating for a few months now. I just opened a gym, and we hit it off pretty fast as far as dating goes. Like, I think chemistry was awesome, and we had a lot. Like, you were kind of what I was looking for. You were.
Yeah, but I had no idea that you even liked me, so that was interesting.
That doesn't surprise me. Good job, Dan. Way to show your interest. I keep my cards tight. I keep them close.
Yeah.
What was that first fall like?
Well, okay, so people don't care about our meetings, but the first hunting season was great because, I mean, I didn't even really know we were dating. Kind of, but and I don't know, like, I hadn't had a boyfriend in a really long time, so I wasn't, like, used to having someone around all the time. And plus, we were pretty, like, independent when we were dating anyways. I mean, you were starting the gym, and I would show up and help paint and drink beer with your dad and coach here and there or whatever. I mean, so when you left, like, it wasn't like we had been spending every waking moment with each other, I felt like.
Yeah, we didn't live together.
No. And so, yeah, I don't know. I mean, it was like, he's gone, whatever. And I just kind of did my own thing, like what I was used to doing, really. The first hunting season was definitely the easiest, like, because I felt like even though we did get engaged quickly, we weren't, like, super, super serious either, like, in the very beginning. So the first hunting season was easy. And looking back now, pretty much every hunting season has been pretty easy up until we've had kids.
Yeah, that was definitely the game changer.
That has put a whole nother level of difficulty upon the struggle and strife.
And they're young. It's just really hard to take care of kids by yourself. And as the man's point of view, what is that sound?
Oh, they're doing maintenance or something.
Okay. Well, hopefully it's not coming through. As a dad, you're leaving, you feel guilty because like, I'm going on a selfish hunt. I need this. Here's the kids, and take care of them all, and work your job, and take care of the house, and don't forget to feed the dog. Peace. It's tough. So we'll get into that a little bit. So just to kind of set a background, I want to talk for the rest of this podcast about maybe the whys behind hunting and your take and things like that, and the good, the bad, the ugly. I also want to talk a little about fitness because that is a big part of our life, and that's a big part of this podcast. And then I wouldn't even mind talking about Maui. We are sitting in Maui right now. I am not a doctor. You're not a lawyer. We are pretty blue-collared people, yet we're here. And maybe explain kind of how we made this trip happen for ourselves with some discipline, saving, and whatnot, and kind of maybe some of the things we've done so far on this trip that could be cool for those that maybe come here. So we'll start with maybe the questions I sent you, and we'll interrogate you. Here we go. So my first question is why do you think your husband hunts?
Well, I think you've done a pretty darn good job of answering that up until this point. All I know is that as difficult as it is for you to leave, you do a really good job of preparing everything before you go, so that your business is handled. As far as why you hunt, I mean, I don't know. I think I have just as hard of a time explaining it as you do. I mean, it's part of who you are. It's part of, it's just Dan. Like, that's just what you do. I don't think it's that important for me to explain why you do it. I mean, what's important for me and my aspect is, like, just knowing that it's happening and being prepared for it, and just, knowing that when we do go somewhere, usually it's because you're wanting to hunt there, i.e. Maui tomorrow. Or if we go on a camping trip, like it's usually revolves around, you know, you scouting, or why do we have a cabin? That's so you can hunt out of it. Like our life really revolves around that, which is fine, you know, which is good. It gets me out, and I enjoy being outside and doing activities related to hunting. I just don't particularly hunt myself, but you know, as far as the why goes, you know, that's just it is what it is. I don't know.
Okay. And yeah, and there's definitely, I think people will relate to the fact that you can't help to see that hunting spills over into everything that you do and a lot of your decisions that you make, including where you want to take your family on camping trips to, you know, my dad and I getting a cabin together. We did it because we wanted to elk and bear hunt out of that cabin. And then, you know, I got married to you and I'm like, hey, here's my cabin, check it out. Well, what is there to do here? Well, a lot of to do here is hunting and scouting, but there's other things we can do as well. But it's just funny looking back at, you know, all the trips we've taken in places, you know, there's always a layer of hunting to it, and you just, you know, you grow accustomed to it, but it is a thing. I mean, it is a thing. It does spill over into all your other stuff. If you're at the level that I am, where it's just, it's what you are, you breathe it, you want to do it all the time. So I guess we'll find out what are the best parts of being married to a hunter.
Damn, I do feel like I'm being interrogated. He hasn't cracked a smile this whole time. Like, the best part about being married to a hunter, in general terms, probably the meat. I love elk meat. That's like a huge benefit. I don't have to go to the grocery store every night. Like, I just go to the freezer, and that's phenomenal. And it's fun, like, packaging the meat. We had it processed this year for the first time ever, and I felt like we missed out on kind of a family activity that we do. Yeah. That's something that that I look forward to. And, you know, with kids, everything is harder, and I know that's a big reason why we had it done this year. Just timing, and we were really busy, and with the kids being as young as they are, man, they demand every ounce of your attention when you've got them, and so that kind of cut into the meat processing time, but I definitely enjoy that portion of it. If I could pack the elk out every year, like, I would love to do that. I had the most fun packing that meat out of this hellacious place.
Definitely one of the yeah, I would say that was the worst elk pack out in Idaho I've ever done. I've killed a lot of elk in Idaho.
And it was, I don't know.
I'll give the story real quick because I think it's important.
I think we should.
Basically, there's this really big drainage, and to me, really big is miles upon miles, and it's got good access up high all around it, but to get down into the bottoms where the elk live, it's just hard as hell to get down there. And so I remember I left the cabin super early that day. I didn't backpack in. I just left the cabin, drove there, got out of my four-wheeler, and hiked in. And it took me about 3 hours of what my father-in-law calls slabbing, but side hilling, and working my way down, cross the creek, get on the other side, get up high enough to where you can start hearing bugles, and then I side hilled another mile or so. So it was about 9:30, and I kind of missed the prime time, and I got a bull to torch off. And anyways,
when you came back after you killed that bull, I'm like, wow, is he calling it quits early today or what? Like, we were out. It was still really nice that day, I think.
I stroked that bull. I called him in by myself. I got decent footage. I shot him about 20 yards. And again, solo elk calling is hard. You have to make a sound here, get them to respond, read what they're going to do, understand the topography and what they might do, know their behavior, and then move up ahead in front of your position where you made your last sound, so they're coming towards that sound, not to where you are. You got to be careful not to break a branch while you're doing that, because if you break a branch, they'll think you're the anyways.
That's why I don't go hunting with Dan. I break too many branches.
Called that bull into 20, shot him, quartering to, made a great shot. Took me a minute to find him, heard him coughing. He died pretty quick, and I was like, oh, shoot. Should I go back the way I came, or do I just go up and 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 up, gain about 4,000 feet to the top? So I was like, well, I know my wife's home. It's a Saturday. She's at the cabin. Our friends are at the cabin. I'm going to get them to help me
This
pack
was
it.
pre-child.
Yeah,
too.
this was pre-children. So I just gutted that bull, completely gutted them and quartered them and got them in game bags and left everything there and just
Hauled ass back to the cabin.
I made it back to the cabin at 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Maybe even earlier than that.
Just,
was it 2?
About 2.
Whatever.
And then got everybody was down to help, and there was 6 of us. And so it was, we were going to go in on this bull from the top, which I hadn't done when I killed him. So we drove all the way around the mountain. It took about an hour to get there, maybe a little bit more. And we're talking four-wheelers. We're not talking like it's a road. We're talking a four-wheeler trail. And then we hiked down and down and down and down.
And that's the kind of stuff that I love. Like, it was so adventurous.
It took us forever. We got to that bull with a few minutes of daylight left.
Yep.
And
yeah.
I think you tried to take a picture for me because I hadn't got a good picture. And then we just packed it up. Now, with 6 people, I will say the packs were light. Everybody relatively light compared to like just 2 of you or 1 of you.
Yeah, it was probably 40, 50 pounds on the girls.
Yeah, I think that was, I thought we got 250, 300 pounds of meat off that bull. And then we all started hiking straight up. And I'll just fast forward. We did not get back to the cabin until 2 a.m. Everyone ran out of water. Everyone had at least one moment of breakdown where they're just like, what did you get me into? You're an idiot. Why would you kill a bull here? This is stupid. This is hard. My feet hurt. My knee hurts. I mean, there were 6 big personalities, but we've got the bull out. We got back to the cabin, and the funniest part was that you and my dad were the last ones out, and you guys rode out together, and it was freezing. Like, once the sun went down, we all
It
were
was a nice day earlier, so we were not really prepared to be out until 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
So we get to the top after sweating our asses off for a few hours, climbing these through the brush. Dan likes to take a hard route.
Yeah, I choose a difficult route.
Your dad got pissed about that too.
Oh, he wanted to quit everything a couple times. So did Gary. Remember when Gary? But you and my dad drove out together, and I remember you telling me that my dad said to you, "Look, I know you're cold, but we have all the beer. So if we just drink our beer, we'll numb the pain."
Pretty much. He's like, "Every beer you drink, you'll get warmer." I was like, sounds good, and that's what I held on to that. Let's put it that way.
When you guys got back to the cabin, I remember making 6 boxes of mac and cheese, and there wasn't any mac and cheese left after everybody ate. So every person pretty much ate a box of mac and cheese.
Gary probably ate 2 boxes, and I ate like a half.
But you guys all, like, looking back, like, that was a great experience.
That was an awesome experience. I loved it. And so we got, having the meat around, doing the adventurous stuff like that, and I mean, those are the things that I love about being married to a hunter.
Okay, well, let's flip it. I asked this question, and I hate to hear it, but what are the worst parts of being married to a hunter?
Well, I feel like we've touched on that. But basically, just being gone, that's probably the hardest part. Knowing that we have a business, we have a house, we have kids, we have other jobs, we have a lot of responsibility, and so just knowing you're leaving, and that makes it hard. But like I said before, you do a really good job of taking care of your business. You've been doing this long enough to know what needs to get done before you leave, so I mean, that's a huge help. But there's only so much you can do on the day-to-day, and that's the grind. That's the hard part. So just the time away. The other, I don't know if this is all hunters or maybe it's just you. Come on, give me a laugh there.
It'll probably be Maul, but
it's just I think it does go for most bow hunters, is the level of dedication to this. Like there can't be any other hobbies. I mean, like, I'm getting in trouble for calling it a hobby. Like, it's not a hobby. You're so dedicated to this that, like, finding other things to do, just nothing's as cool as bow hunting to you. So it's hard to get you out to do, like, a whole lot of other stuff because there's always something bow hunting to be done, whether it's feeding deer or hanging trail cameras or checking trail cameras or going to this place or going to that place. Want to check this place out.
Shooting,
Oh yeah.
shooting. In the garage, at the range, shooting. I'm always shooting.
Yes.
So it's just kind of all consuming. And
Yeah.
yeah, and that gets old for yours. All right, this question will kind of be the last of these, and then we'll get into some other stuff. But what ways can a hunter make their spouse better understanding of their motivations when it comes to hunting? So basically communication to your spouse or partner when it comes to when you're going hunting, why you're going hunting.
How can you, the question maybe like, how can you prepare, how can you communicate that this is going to happen? Or,
Yeah.
I mean, you just have to talk to your spouse, especially, I think communication is like number one. Letting them know what you're thinking. Like, Dan, you're good about putting everything on the calendar. And because I'm a planner, I like to know what we have in store coming up. Like, what are you thinking, you know, if you want to do a bow shoot, for example, you know, we got some things coming up this summer. Like, I know that's not related to hunting necessarily, but kind of, you know. I mean, you're just good about putting things on the calendar. That's super helpful. And then just, you know, I mean, what it all boils down to, I think, is that they're either going to accept it or they're not. Like, you either have to accept it and you can choose to be pissed off about it all the time, or you can, you know, you can accept it and just know that it's okay. Like, you go hunting and you come back a better husband. You come back and you're a better dad. You come back and you're a better gym owner. I mean, I've seen it do so much for you and your mental state. Like, you're recharged, you're rejuvenated, ready to, you know, take on the next thing, and therefore get me excited, which is what I fell in love with about you, is that you can come back and have 100% effort into everything that you're doing again. Like, you know, this big, huge build up to hunting season, and then you're gone for a while, and that's really hard, but then you come back and you're like ready to take on the world. And I think that's probably, I mean, hopefully most of the people that are getting out to bow hunt experience that similar feeling, or experience that kind of same sort of cycle of life, like where it does recharge them and it does bring them back, like being a better person. Because, you know, I mean, let's be honest, even when you do come back from hunting, like I'm a little bit like bitchy. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Like, it was hard, you know, and kids change it a lot, where I'm kind of like a little resentful, and you have to just kind of clear that hurdle a little bit. And once you're beyond that, you know, things smooth over, and
the dust
settles.
Then
the dust settles and we're good to go. Like, and you can get me excited back on track, like with other things besides hunting.
Okay.
Does that kind of answer the question, you think?
Yeah, I think you hit it out of the park.
All right.
And it helps. I'm actually learning, which is, this is great. So that's guys that are kill elk. They like the meat. I hope that's why they elk hunt. I mean, there's other layers to it. We've talked about it. But at the end of the day, like, if I don't have elk meat, I don't know what I would do. So what is your, and this doesn't have to be a long answer, but what's your favorite way to prepare elk? It could be any type of cut of meat. But, like, what's your favorite go-to elk
I mean, basically, my favorite go-to meal.
Yeah.
Probably like elk tacos. I mean, super easy, fresh. You can make the salad out of it. It's good to eat all week. I would say elk tacos. Well, elk hamburgers are a pretty close second. Yeah. Because I fix those up real good. Yes. Put a lot of stuff into them.
So, let's talk about how you prepare the elk burgers. Because when I make elk burgers, I'm like junior varsity compared to your elk burgers. So just real quick, break down kind of from start to finish on the.
So you got the ground meat. Yep. I just usually drop in an egg or two. By the way,
we don't add fat to our ground meat, but go ahead.
Yeah. So it's really, really lean. So dropping an egg in there helps it stay together. I also use probably, I mean, if I've got a pound of elk meat and we're making it all burgers, I'll do like somewhere between a fourth a cup and a half a cup of olive oil. I mean, quite a bit of olive oil. And then breadcrumbs, like just plain breadcrumbs, that helps it stick together too. Worcestershire sauce, some Johnny's Hunter seasoning.
Yeah, that stuff's been clutch.
I mean, in fact, I got to get more of it. And, you know, and then sometimes Lipton onion soup mix too. I mean, they're packed with flavor.
Yeah.
They're good. They are sustainable all week. I mean, we just make a big bunch of those. So elk hamburgers, elk tacos.
So you mix all that up,
Yeah.
mash them down, and then
Yeah,
as far
don't
as
over-mix it. That's a big thing too,
Yeah.
because elk meat's kind of more tough as it is. So you don't want to like mix it like you're mixing bread dough or whatever. Like you gotta just
Massage
mix it enough.
Yeah.
Just mix it just enough to get it all mixed in there, and then, you know, form them into the balls or whatever, how big you want them. You can use your scale if you're weighing and measuring your food, and then flatten them out and throw them on the grill. And you know, elk cooks pretty fast because
Yeah.
it's if you
It's
don't
lean.
have it, yeah, if you don't have it mixed with fat, then it's pretty lean and it cooks fast. So
making me hungry.
we grill a lot at our house, and you know, elk steaks are delicious as well. But
Well, we've talked about, I wanted to talk about recipes. We talked about what it's like being married to a hunter. We're going to get into Maui. We got 2 more topics that I kind of want to cover. We're going to talk about why you choose to do CrossFit, because I know in your heart and in my heart, if anyone's listening that doesn't do CrossFit or functional fitness, I just feel like I could go do your workout. I'm not sure if you could come do mine. That sounds cocky. Doesn't meant to be like that, but it's just kind of your mentality. Once you do CrossFit for a decade like us, we've done so many types of workouts. What is it about CrossFit that keeps you coming back? I mean, why does it work?
why would I do anything else when I can go into the gym for 1 hour a day, have someone take me through every single thing I need to do that day, a 15-minute warm-up, get the blood pumping, dropping some sweat, then, you know, get instructed on the workout, whatever the movements are, know exactly what I'm doing, 3, 2, 1, go, work my ass off for 15 minutes or whatever, and then a cool down at the end. I mean, why would you not do that? I love having a coach with me every single day. Or even, you know, at this point, obviously, like, I know what I'm doing. I've coached CrossFit for almost 10 years now. But I still love having a coach there to tell me
Sure.
what to do.
Everybody
I mean,
does.
it's just easy. It's the 1 hour that I have in my day that I don't have to think about a damn thing. And I can just go in there and work really hard, laugh with my friends. I mean, the community is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Everybody's so supportive and just welcoming, and those are my people. And, you know, I feel good and I feel strong. I thought about this the other day, actually, how, like, a lot of my physical capabilities I just take for granted now because I've been able to do it for so long. But, man, being out here in Maui and seeing all the adventures and things that people have availability to do here, and then thinking about people that aren't able to do those things because of their physical inabilities, or they're, you know, just not fit or whatever it is, not strong enough to do certain things. Like, I'm just so thankful for CrossFit for that reason, that I'm able to do pretty much whatever I want to do. If I wanted to go do kite surfing, like, I could do that because I could hold onto that rope and I would feel confident. Like, your coordination, balance, agility, all of those things play into so many activities that you can do outside the 4 walls of the gym. So that's why I CrossFit.
That's cool. You know, I like hearing your why you like to do it. You take more classes than I do just because there's childcare when you go in. People don't know this, but you're also a nurse. So you're an RN and a mom. And sometimes it's just nice to drop the kids off and have an hour away from them. And what you didn't mention is that you're almost as competitive as me, / you are more competitive than me. And you like to throw down with other members, and you do look out the corner of your eye, and you do push just this much harder because you're with a group of trustworthy peers, and that will get you into other levels of intensity you cannot duplicate, and will bring out the best in you, or the worst in you, but really, truly the best of you.
Sometimes the worst.
Yeah, and I like that, you know, and it just doesn't, I don't get tired of it. I feel like if people could just find a good box with a good coach that gets them moving really well, I know it would lend themselves to better hunting, more efficient hunting.
And people, you know, sorry to interrupt you there. A lot of people who I know through CrossFit or maybe social media or whatever. And they think, they say like, how do you work out for 1 hour a day and are able to do these, certain movements or whatever? Like, I've been doing it for almost 10 years now, so that obviously helps. But you have got to bring the intensity. Like, that is what gets results. Intensity over everything else. I mean, if you go in there and just kind of get through the workout, like, you're not going to get the results that you're going to see is if you put everything you've got into every day in your workouts.
And intensity, explained at a level 1 CrossFit seminar, they do a good job just to add some, density to your statement. Is it's not a feeling. Like, if you look in the corner of the gym and see some dude shrugging heavy dumbbells and grunting, that doesn't necessarily mean that that's intensity. Or if you see someone on a treadmill at level 10 with a heart rate monitor on and they're doing heart rate monitor training, that's not necessarily intense. It looks like intense. I think it's the thing I liked about CrossFit is they brought mathematics and science into exercise physiology, which we both have background in. And intensity is simply force times distance divided by time. Better put, how much work you can get done in the least amount of time. That is intensity. And so the more work that you can accomplish in a short amount of time, the more intense that workout was. And you have to obviously vary the time domains that you train in. Some days you're doing a 3-minute piece all out. Sometimes you're doing a 12-minute piece that's a little bit more paced, or a 30 or 40-minute piece that is even more paced, where you're still doing a tremendous amount of work. It's just the time domain alters. And the specialty and not specializing is super awesome for longevity. I'm 36 and I don't want my joints to ache. I don't want to run too much and have my knees hurt or need a hip replacement. I don't want to lift too much. I think there's a balance in there. Mm-hmm. And all that different variety has made it so that hunting there's no physical limitations on a hunt, which is awesome for your confidence, knowing that you can go anywhere and do anything. And tomorrow I hope to prove that when I go bow hunting. I never bow hunted here, but I'm not afraid. I'm going to go wherever I need to go to make a shot opportunity. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So
yep.
Let's transition to a little bit of discipline, finances. I've been very transparent on this podcast as to what we're doing, which is kind of intimidating to talk about yourself, because there's people out there that are way more successful, way more influential, way more accomplished. And then I feel like I'm just this blue collar guy who shares what he's done. But I do know there's people that look up to what we do and take heed in some of our advice. And so I noticed that, people could think, oh, you guys are in Maui, you're rich. You know what I mean? And I think you posted on one of your social media posts from here, because someone's like, oh, you're so lucky, I'm so jealous. And you posted, it's been a long time coming. And you didn't explain, but I knew what you meant. So what is it like being disciplined, saving up for a trip like this? What does it take for us, someone like in our situation, who honestly, yeah, I run a gym, I'm self-employed, but I work at another job, and mm-hmm. You work. We work. We're worker bees. We work our asses off for everything we have, and we wouldn't want it any other way. How could someone in our similar shoes get to Maui, per se?
Well, a lot of people that I talk to at work when I'm at the hospital, I just share Dave Ramsey with them, because that's kind of how I feel like we got started in our pursuit of discipline in the financial realm. At least that's where I learned a lot about it. I mean, you've taught me a ton, and it's just simple. It's really just very simple. Like, it does not have to be complicated at all, but it has got to be consistent. And it's got to be structured, just like everything in life. Wow. We were having this conversation last night.
Just like fitness. There are no gosh darn shortcuts.
Yeah.
You have to be consistent. Like, there's not, oh, I'm going to go off on a tangent. Like the keto diet. Oh, the keto diet. That's all you hear about. But like, whatever diet you do is fine as long as you can consistently do it over time. We're talking days to weeks to months to years. You know what I mean?
And it's actually working.
And it's a low trajectory. It's a low trajectory journey where, there's not a lot of ups and downs. It's just kind of a steady direction in the right direction.
Think of the Roth IRA versus, stocks and bonds.
Yes. Well, I know what you mean. But, yeah, like a Roth is very slow growth. Mm-hmm. But you get your
But it's consistent.
Yeah.
And you're constantly putting something towards it, hopefully.
Yes. Yes.
So I, like I started saying, the whole Dave Ramsey thing, I mean, financial freedom, is that what the program's called?
I don't.
Or
Yeah,
I
I
don't
would
know.
say something. Yeah, financial
Any,
freedom sounds right.
there's a podcast or
He's
something
got
that
a
we listen
podcast.
to.
He's got an
Well,
app. He's got
we
a.
listened to a CD. I think it was an actual CD.
Oh yeah. Oh,
You
what?
made me listen to it. It was like only a half an hour or an hour or something.
This was like 10 years ago.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. I totally remember that because I was like, God, this guy is crazy. I'm married to him. Like, all he does is just, he's so disciplined. And I love it. Like, it's been so good for me. But as far as the financial thing, so Dave Ramsey, we still fill our envelopes every single month. We've got an envelope system going.
Let's back up. Wait a second. So the reason why I had you listen to the Financial Wealth Solution or whatever the
is
hell
to
it was
sell
called
me on this
was
idea.
before that is we were married for a little bit and we had separate checking accounts, right?
For so long, annoyingly.
I don't know. I
You
thought
didn't trust me.
I was
No.
a saver, you were a spender, and I was like, yeah, you have credit cards and a car payment. I do not. So you have your own business. You can have yours. Anyways.
And I was broke.
Long story short is I would find out that you would over withdraw, not regularly, like consistently overdrawing. And I was like, it broke me to the point where I was like, all right, time out.
But let's also not make me look so bad. Like, I wasn't going out on these shopping sprees by any stretch of the imagination.
No.
Like, I was buying groceries.
We were poor.
I
were
was
super
like
poor.
buying food.
Yeah, it was just like we just didn't have, a good plan, and we didn't calculate money in versus money out. We just didn't have a pulse on our finances. So at that point, we listened to the Dave Ramsey, and we agreed we were going to combine our checking, and we started formulating a plan right there. Go.
Okay, so once I figured out that this was probably a good thing, you have to be sold on something.
Yeah.
Again, like, you can't just feel around in the dark. Like, you have to know what it is you're doing and why are you doing it. The why, you always got to have that why. Like, so I knew, why are we doing this? Well, because damn it, I don't want to be overdrawing my checking account every month, and I want to have some money in the bank. I want to be able to go do stuff, and it looked like a good solution to the problem, so to speak. So we started doing the envelopes, but really there's a whole bunch of steps. Having your emergency fund.
Oh, the 7 steps.
Yes. So
Yeah.
if you want to get into that, I
might
know
butcher it, but
yeah.
I know the first thing is you need to have an emergency fund. And I think it's recommended to have like $1,000 set aside. But like, if something happens, you don't need a credit card. You have $1,000 cash or whatever at your arsenal to help you in emergency.
If your washer and dryer goes out,
Yeah.
Or if you're,
Yes.
you
your car breaks down and you have a mechanic
or you
repair.
got a hit and run or something,
Yeah.
or you have liability only and you just need to get your car fixed, or
Yeah.
there's a whole bunch of that stuff comes up all the time.
And that was like tough for us because okay, the first thing we have to do is save up $1,000. How long is that going to take? And so we had to really kind of go through our finances and figure out what our overhead was, if you will, and how we're going to get $1,000 and how long
is it going to take
Yeah.
us. And so I don't know. People can look that up. I think it's really important. We don't necessarily need to go into every single step because it's
Well,
a
I'll
good.
just go through them real quick,
Okay.
just so at least somebody can touch it or whatever. So let's see. I'll pull it up here. I'm looking it up just to do it right. Okay, so baby step number 1 is $1,000 emergency fund. Baby step 2 is pay off all debt using the debt snowball, which is an awesome phenomenon that I didn't know that worked. So I know that you had, I think, 2 different credit cards. One was like a Macy's or something, and then I don't remember what it was.
Capital One,
and then there was another credit card.
Wells Fargo,
and
how I remember that. I don't
and then
know.
you had a car that wasn't quite paid off, and you also had student debt, student loans for school. And so at that point, I was in a better position because I had been kind of doing Dave Ramsey without knowing it. I had a pretty good savings. I had paid cash for school. I had paid cash for my truck. I had done a couple things, you know, but I also got to thank my parents. I lived with my parents till I was 20, and I had a good job right out of high school being a personal trainer, and I was a hustler. I made really good money out of high school right out the gates. I was a hustler. I was just a hard-working personal trainer. So the snowball effect, why I think it's so cool, is that once you start to pay off one of your smallest debts, and you start small and work big. So I think your smallest debt was your first credit card. It might have had a couple grand on it. You and I worked feverishly, and we paid that one off. Then we went to the next debt, and now we had all the money that we were spending on monthly payments towards that credit card balance and the extra all going to your next credit card. And we conquered that credit card, and now those were two gone, and now we had more money to put towards more debt, and we tackled your car, and we worked really hard, and we paid off your car, and that took probably I don't know,
not 5 years.
not 5 years, a couple years,
yeah, maybe
and then we paid off. Eventually, we paid off with your student loans, and there might have been some like good tax returns here or there or something that helped speed that up. But if we had any extra money, we put it towards it, and the next thing you know, you don't have any credit cards, no student loans, no car payment,
and then I decided to go back to school.
Well, yeah, but we were able to pay cash for your school, so
Yeah.
it just really helped. That first couple years were pivotal. I'll go through the rest of the steps. Step 3 is 3 to 6 months expenses and savings. That's really, really hard to do. So you're going to basically pay off your credit card, pay off your cars, pay off whatever loans you have minus maybe your mortgage, and you're going to that's going to take a long time, but you're going to do it. But it's not going to take as long as you think. And then the next step would be to build up 6 months of expenses. So you need to figure out how much money is going out per month, times that by 3 to 6. You really should do 6, and you're going to put that money away. And it's going to take you years, months. I don't know. Everyone's different, but it's going to take you some time. And then you're going to have 6 months of your money out saved in case you get hurt or something happens terrible and there's dysfunction or disability and you can't work. Well, you're not going to screw yourself over, go into bankruptcy. You're going to be smart, and you've prepared for this. Just like a bow hunter prepares for all the unknowns, you're kind of preparing for the unknown in the financial world. Step 4 is to invest 15% of your household income into Roth IRAs or pre-tax retirement. We just did that not too long ago. As far as I've had a Roth since I was 19, and I'm 36, so it's doing well. It's a long time. I've consistently maxed out the Roth, and that's money that's already been taxed, versus a regular IRA or traditional is pre-tax dollars. So we're putting money we've already been taxed on into Roth. We started you a Roth how long ago?
A year ago.
Yeah, but
maybe?
we rolled some money
well,
over.
I had a couple of different retirement savings through different jobs that I've had.
And we were able to roll all that into your Roth, and now we're contributing the max a month towards your Roth, which is awesome, And so we're doing that. Baby step 5 is college fund for children. We are not doing that currently.
They can pay their own.
And I just have a different outlook on. I paid for school while working and going to school, and I just think my kids are going to have to do the same. That's one thing. That's just where I draw the line. I'm not paying for your college. You can pay for it yourself. I'm not even convinced that racking up $100,000 in debt for 4 years is even guaranteeing you of a job. So I will help our kids out as much as I can, whether it be cost of living or vehicles or helping with tuition, but they damn sure better know the direction they're going and their why, like you've said many times on this podcast, before mom and dad pony up. I'm not going to pay for 4 years of drinking and partying and getting a degree in sociology. No offense if you have a degree in psychology or sociology, but you guys get what I'm saying.
Or exercise science.
Yeah, for real. Baby step number 6, pay off home early. Wouldn't you like to do that? We are not on that step, but we're dream of that. And then baby step 7 is build wealth and give your wealth. So that's pretty cool. That's a little Dave Ramsey tangent. So how did you and I afford? We were in the Big Island 3 years ago. We said 2015. We haven't taken a tropical vacation since. So for 3 years.
For 3 years, we've been saving either $150 or $200. I think it's $150 a month.
Month in, month out. Go to the bank, get the cash out.
Yeah.
When you don't want to.
When you don't want to.
And it's every month that we do it.
And
there are months where other things come up, and they're shiny little objects, and we've just been disciplined and deliberate to put away that money and let it grow and grow and grow. And then we finally look at each other and was like, I think we're getting close. Let's look into our options. And so we're staying at a condo. I don't know how much it is a night here, but it damn sure isn't $600 a night like the resort 15 miles down the road, right?
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's it's definitely an affordable option.
We're on day 4 or 5. How many times have we gone out to dinner here?
0.
Interesting. We went to Costco right out the gates, and got $200 worth of groceries, maybe more.
And eating very clean, which we talked about.
Consistency
is good because we feel good. You
Yeah.
know, I mean,
and we've killed
we've
it.
done a lot, and not one paid for excursion, just all DIY.
And passing people that aren't able to go as far as us in on these hikes or these ravines or these like little cliffs or sketchy, like there's people that are basically handicapped by their lack of fitness.
Or just scared, which I pretty much have been a lot too.
And I do look around and I feel so young on this island. There's definitely a lot of gray hairs here, and I haven't seen a lot of people our age. But as far as the airfare, that was pretty expensive. That was one of the more expensive.
Yeah.
And then as far as the rent-a-car,
It is what it is,
it
but you
is
try
what
to
it
find
is.
the best deals. I mean,
We do,
you can
yeah.
certainly go a different time of year and pay less.
Yeah.
But we felt like, we've been saving up for this for a long time, and we both are ready to get out of Spokane in February.
Yeah.
Early December would be a cheaper option per my brother. I just found out.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that's the holidays, and I don't know. I mean, I'm not ready to go like February. It's time. It's time to get into the warm weather. So anyways, I mean, it did take a lot of discipline to be able to come down here. It's not like we just kind of, on a whim, let's do this sort of thing.
Let's just put it on our card.
And put it on the card.
We'll pay it off later.
Yeah, like that
it's
makes
just
me
delayed
sick.
gratification. 3 years to, and I think people that make more money could save for it faster. Could do it nicer. People
And
that make
they could
less
do it
money
every
than
year.
us. You could
I
do
mean,
it whatever you want.
It depends on how important it is to you. I mean, if it's on the top of your priority list, like, life is short, make it happen, but don't be stupid,
Yeah.
Don't put it on your credit card. But, if you want to, you see these pictures that some of your friends have been posting, they're on vacation, blah, 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 like, set a goal, know your why, and make it happen. Like, and that's regardless of whatever it is. Like, I don't know. I kind of feel like I'm on a preaching wagon right now, but I feel really passionate about, like, helping people to live their best life. Like,
Yes.
be their best version, live their best life. Whatever that means to you. It could mean that you want to travel the world. Like, you should do it because, man, I take care of sick people in the hospital all the time. And I've met a tremendous number of people who are just completely unfulfilled. But then the ones that are like the coolest people, and they're
Yes.
happy like that, and they have joy in their heart, and they're like joyful people. And I just hope that you could feel that way about your life. Yeah, there's definitely tremendous challenges in this life, but you gotta take the opportunity to do what you love. And I think that's also, it goes back to bow hunting. Like, if you love it, man, then that's what you should be doing. And
Yeah.
I love the passion that you have for it, despite as much grief as I give you for it. I love that you're passionate about something, because everybody's got something, and it could be something that's not good.
Yeah, that's true. So we've only been on the Maui island here for 4 days, but comparing, contrasting it to the Big Island, so far in the moment, I'm just loving Maui. So I love adventuring with my wife. Before we had kids, we've backpacked in Banff. We went down to Snowbird. Back before it was the Total Archery Challenge, it was bowcast at the Bird. We shot that. We've hiked over into the Teton National Park. Backpacked, like legitimate backpacking overnight type stuff, and some crazy adventures. We've been in Montana, we've been in Idaho, backpacking in there. We like outside adventures, and so that's kind of like, I will say, no matter where I am in the world with my wife, as long as I'm with my wife and we can go have adventure, we're going to have fun. But here, I'll just kind of give you a brief little, she did all the research. This is her trip. We didn't talk about 5 languages of love, but my wife's love language is just quality time, and just where my phone's not in front of me and I'm looking at her and engaging and spending time. And so this is a love language vacation for me. This is me trying to fill your cup up and like really show you that I love you and I want to spend time with you, and that, you know, just it's good for our marriage. It's good for everything to get a break from the kids. So thank you, Grandma and Grandpa, and everybody taking care of our kids right now. But the first day we went to a CrossFit. What was that one called?
Lahaina CrossFit.
Lahaina CrossFit. Met the owners. They were awesome. We had 30 minutes when we got there. We spent $40 to work out for 30 minutes.
They were closing in like a half an hour.
Which hurt me. I'm a cheapskate, and I can work out wherever.
I saw him choke a little bit when they asked him for the price.
I was like, oh, man, where's the owner discount? But anyways, or firefighter discount. We crushed a workout, and then we went right up to the chutes and ladders.
No, we went to Kaanapali.
Oh, we did?
Yeah.
So that's the beach resort?
That was the beach resort, yeah.
Oh, okay, that was day
one.
Yeah, so we kicked it there for
all day. We did boogie boarding. We played in the water for a long time.
Got sunburned.
Got beat up. We called it neti potting because we just had so much salt water in our sinuses.
And it was awesome.
And it was beautiful.
That was a really good first day. And then the second day is where we kind of like said, well, we're going to go back to that side of the island. That's the west side. And we're going to go check out some of these places that you found online.
Yeah.
And no one really knew about them around here. So they were kind of tricky to find.
They're not touristy. Let's put it that way. The locals
Chutes and
know.
ladders.
Chutes and ladders was amazing.
By far and away one of the coolest things I've done. Tell us about it.
So on the north side of the island, probably took us a half an hour drive. We're staying in Kihei. And get up there, and it's like 37 and a half, mile marker 37 and a half, but like there's no signs of it anywhere. There's not even really a trail. Like, and
you just have to kind of bushwhack towards the ocean from the highway.
Yeah.
And the highway's kind of small, and you just start bushwhacking.
Really small. Yeah, so we kind of bushwhacked down and found a trail and walked down that.
A goat trail.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden you're standing at these cliffs that are looking over the ocean, and they're beautiful, amazingly gorgeous, blue, pristine.
And if you're watching this on YouTube right now, I'm going to show cutaways of everything we're talking about. So
okay. Yeah, so gorgeous ocean there, and then you do a little scrambling down these rocks, and next thing you know,
using ropes.
Well, next thing you know, you're at the ropes.
Okay.
Yeah. So before you get to the ropes, it's already scary, and then to the ropes, like they call it chutes because you're like basically rappelling. Well, you are rappelling down a cliff face, which, you know, I didn't used to be such a chicken, but I swear, like, since we've had kids, I'm just, I don't know, more cautious, I guess, which is good. God puts that in you. So we rappel down these cliffs, and then you kind of do a little bit more scrambling, and then another rappel down, and then you're in these 2 giant pools of salt water that are like kind of refilled when the tide comes in, and like the water's cleaned out, so the water is just beautiful, and there's kind of caves.
It's definitely a contrast of color from the ocean. The ocean's like this dark blue, and then this pool is like this almost
like an
aqua, clear, and it just says, hey, jump in. This is awesome. And like you can swim in the pool.
Don't even know if it's real.
The cool thing about that trip was that there was absolutely nobody down there because it is so kind of sketchy, but not really. But it's going to prevent anyone not fit or not physically able to climb down a rope to get there. And we had it to ourselves for...
a couple hours, and we saw probably 12 sea turtles down there.
Turtles forever.
Neon
whales.
Fish, whales.
What were they, breaching or not, whatever that called when they come up out of the water?
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
It's breeding season right now. I think that's why they're so close to shore.
Yeah. It was
during the winter.
Awesome.
It was a sight to see, for sure.
The other thing that we did that day was we went up to, we did see some wild goats, which I didn't have my bow with me, and I wasn't sure if it was public or private land. I didn't have my Onyx downloaded, but we saw some wild goats, which gave me an appetite for hunting.
Yep.
I'm excited. I did bring my bow on this trip. That's tomorrow, so we'll have another podcast on that with the guy who's taking me. And we went to the blowhole. The blowhole. Tell us about that. That's freaking
awesome. The blowhole
awesome.
Was so beautiful. I didn't really know what to expect. I mean, I had read a little bit. I mean, I'd read so much that it kind of all got jumbled, but it sounded like it was some sort of volcano. But when we got down there, it basically is like some sort of pressure pressure from underneath the rocks.
The lava that's dried.
Yeah, and it pushes the water through this smaller hole in the top of these cliffs that you're standing on, and it shoots out like Old Faithful.
Yeah, like at Yellowstone, if you ever seen Old Faithful, it just shoots straight up. It's, you know, it was almost the exact same thing, but it was like ocean water spraying out, and it
Yeah.
made a really cool sound. Like you could feel the power of
Yeah.
the ocean
The
projectiling water up out of this little hole.
so powerful.
And the hike down there wasn't too bad.
It wasn't bad at all.
It's not like it's not a terribly long hike, but it's a hike.
Every hike that we went on, though, we were like, how did this take us? We would get down there so quick.
Yeah, I think coming
Because
back
we were
out.
like little kids, like so excited to get there.
But it was so cool.
And it was definitely well worth it. And that one's marked much
Yeah.
better. It's more well traveled. But I mean, again, it's like one of those things that if you're out of shape, like you're gonna stand at the top of this
Which we saw
hike
people doing.
and look down, like you're not gonna get close to it because it's there's
Here's some
some
binos. Watch from up here. You're not
Yeah,
gonna
no.
get down close like we did.
Yeah.
And that was kind of the highlights of that day.
Well, and the sea lion. That was pretty much like
that,
one
we
that.
hiked back down another way.
Yeah,
and
and there was more black cliffs. Well, not as black as the next day, but some more cliffs and just the water. I mean, the power of the water. I kept telling Dan, I said, it's like the ocean's breathing here.
Mhm.
Like the waves, the way the body of the water moves, it's like breath of the ocean. I don't know how
it's
to.
powerful.
It's so powerful.
And we caught that sea lion snoozing offshore. Got some pretty cool video of that lion.
Dan and I wanted to like go down and save it, but I
Get
think
it back
was
in the
fine.
water, but I think it was just chilling,
Yeah.
waiting for high tide. And that was really our full first day.
Yep.
And then yesterday was day 2.
Yesterday, well, day 3-ish. Or
Yeah. Yesterday was our second full day of getting no travel, and we went to Road to Hana.
Yeah, we didn't really know how to start the day out. We just drank some coffee and were chatting and had breakfast and like, okay, what are we gonna do today? And I was like, well, let's do it. Let's go Road to Hana. We knew it was gonna be a long day doing that, and it was.
Oh God.
That road is ridiculous. If you've been to
Road to
Maui, you know
hell.
exactly what we're talking about. It's a lot of yield to oncoming traffic. I mean, there's probably 150 signs that say yield to oncoming traffic.
So if you're gonna do Road to Hana, mile marker 6.5,
6.7.
6.7, pull over, and anywhere you pull over, there'll be a bamboo forest on your right, like actual bamboo, thick as dog hair, and there's just little trails all through there wherever you pull out.
It's like a corn maze, but with bamboo.
It's awesome. Go ahead, proceed. Any trail you pick will lead to the main trail. You're gonna cross. You're gonna go over some. You're gonna get muddy. So bring shoes that you can get muddy, and if it's
And that you
raining,
can
be
get wet.
careful. But we went probably 2 miles up this bamboo forest. We saw.
We were basically following like a riverbed or
Yeah,
like a
a
creek
creek
bed.
bed.
Yeah.
And we hit 3 or 4 waterfalls. One in particular that had, we were the only ones, but we were jumping off this cliff. That was probably just a little over 20-foot drop, and we did that a few times.
No, it was like 50. No.
Yeah, it was awesome. It's over 20, but it wasn't like 30. And it was really fun. People were watching us thinking we're crazy, but it was really cool to jump off those rocks. And we just continued hiking further and further. And you can actually get to a point where the trail dead ends and you have to swim across like a little lagoon.
Channel.
A channel to get to the other trail, which
Yeah,
we didn't
swim up the
do.
channel. Well, we didn't really know. And then we ran into some locals on the way back down, and they're like, "Oh, did you swim the channel?" I was like, "Oh, that's
That
what."
makes
Yeah,
sense.
that's where we
But
could
there
have
was
gone.
ladders that you had to go up to get over some of these
Yeah,
cliffs
people
and stuff.
brought in some ladders.
So there's ropes and ladders again, and this hike is like a choose-your-own-adventure hike. It's awesome, and it doesn't take that long. I think we spent 3 hours there total, and that included a lot of like jumping off the rock and
Swimming and-
swimming and soaking in the sun, and it was unbelievable. You're in the rainforest. Not too many places in the world where you have a good highway to go navigate through a rainforest.
Right.
So that was really the highlight of the day for me, was that bamboo forest, jumping off the rocks into the cliffs. And then we made it all the way to mile marker 32,
Mm-hmm.
and we got to the black sand beach there.
Yep, it's a state park there. I won't even try to pronounce the name of it. It's a W with a lot of letters afterwards.
And it was
And it was
unbelievable.
Unbelievable. When you said contrasted colors, that was instantly what I thought of, because the black sand and the black rocks, which create that black sand, and then this, again, like pristine aqua blue
Yes.
water hitting the black cliffs. And then on top of the black cliffs are these lush, vibrant, bright green, like neon green almost,
Yeah, it pops.
plants. And they're just covering all over the top of this beautiful lava rock. And I mean, the sights were unbelievable. So we're pretty tired at this point. Like, we've been in the car. I mean, 32 miles on that road it took 2 hours.
2 hours. Plus, we were stopping and taking photos and hiking a bunch of little small waterfalls
Right.
and rainforests.
So we get there and we're like, okay, we need to eat. We need to re-energize a little bit and like drink some coffee and then hit this trail. And so, you know, of course, Stan and I, we just want to keep going on this trail, keep going. We're like passing all the grandmas and everything. And it's really, I mean, everybody there was really cool. But next thing you know, we hear this earth-shaking thunder coming through. And it just, we're like, oh, cool. Like, we're going to see this, you know, lightning storm. And it looks like it's just miles and miles away down the ocean. Next thing you know,
It's
God
over us.
opened up the floodgates.
Yeah.
And we are taking a shower in the middle of our hike.
Yeah.
I mean, I could have, like, washed my hair in the rain there. Like,
It was like taking a shower.
yeah,
Literally.
it was like
that much
taking
water.
so
And
much
it
water.
hit the whole island, come to find out.
Mm-hmm.
And it rained all night. But we had to hike out, run out.
We ran out. It
And
was
it
fun.
took us a little bit. It was fun. And then we got to change clothes and dry out and make that drive back tired. So that road did suck on the drive home. But we made it back. And then here we are today, kind of day 4. We're a chill day. We just been laying by the beach, kind of rejuvenating. I'm going to go meet a buddy of mine to shoot my bow, make sure it's doped in before I go hunting tomorrow. I'm going to go on the east side of the island. And what's the name of it? Capo
Gap Trail.
Couple Gap area. I think I'm hunting for deer and
Upland Maui.
goats. It's all public land. It's not a guide. I don't do that. It's blue collar. It's awesome. And so I'm going to shoot my bow today, and then we'll probably just hang out, maybe make a nice dinner or whatever, and do whatever Alicia wants to do. And then the last day I'm the most excited about, believe it or not, is we just booked a trip. It was $160 per person, but there's a peak up here that's the top of the volcano. It's 10,000 plus feet. And you can't even drive. There's a road that gets right to it, but you cannot drive up there unless you get a permit weeks in advance through Recreation Gov. It's like the website. And I went on there, and they were all sold out. So you couldn't even drive up there. But the sunrise, I guess, will change your life. And that's just, I wanted to see the sunrise up there, get some video, and couldn't do it. And the helicopter tours are like $400, and we didn't really save up enough to do those. And so we decided to book this trip. So on our last day, we fly out Thursday night, but at Thursday morning at 2 a.m., we're waking up, packing all our stuff, and we're driving 45 minutes to the check-in. We check in at 3 a.m. We get on a bus. We drive to the top of the volcano. We get to see the sunrise for however long we want, and then we get to ride mountain bikes down the grade for 4 hours, making as many stops as we want along the way. We'll definitely video that. I'm really looking forward to that. I think it's going to be a way to end it, and then we'll just probably chill the rest of the day till we have to take the car back and get on a plane and take a red eye and then back to reality. So
Oh boy.
yeah, well, thanks for coming on, babe. I've been wanting to have you on. This is our 10th episode, and I love you, and I'm so glad you're here with me and able to share more about ElkShape, Mrs. ElkShape. If you like or are a fan of the podcast and you want to help support it, go to the ElkShape website, check out the store. Right now we got some pretty badass coffee mugs for sale on there. They're painting of a buddy of mine who lives in Post Falls, Idaho. The painting of the elk is his actual painting, and they say delayed gratification, which is a good theme. If you couldn't catch that on this podcast, we're all about that. And then you can also look into this project that my wife knows I was working my ass off on to create, which was 21 Days to ElkShape. This program is the most thorough, intense, quick program that I've designed for anyone regardless of their fitness level, to where you just give me 21 days and I'm going to get you into the best ElkShape you can. Don't wait till the last minute to do this program. You can do it in August, but I would recommend that you do it a few times throughout the year. So I would like maybe download it now, try it out for 21 days, then go do some other program and then come back to it before hunting season. Check it out. It's integrative PDF that has everything from backpack interval, backpack cardio, shooting under duress, and I spell out how to do strength and conditioning pieces. And hopefully, there's, I wrote a little bit of motivational stuff in there as well, and it's legit. I worked my ass off on it. I'm pretty proud of it, and you can get that, or you can get my book I wrote 6-7 years ago called Train to Hunt, and that book's just kind of like a 365 approach program that you might want to check that out. T-shirts are coming. We do have decals on the website. Hats are probably going to be ready to go in the store next week, but that's how you can support the podcast. Thanks to all of my partners, and you can check out my partners and links to their gear. That's what I use, and I always say, my partners didn't knock on my door, I knocked on their door. I was already using their gear, and I asked them to partner with me because I believe in what they do and their programs and their products. So check out my partners, and thanks for listening to ElkShape, and we'll catch you on the next one.